Hey guys, it's me, Inkling. I know I haven't posted in quite a while, but today we will discuss the questions of the causes of the Great Depression. First question: what were the possible causes of the Great Depression, and to what extent could a stock market crash of the intensity of 1929 occur again in America? The causes of the Great Depression can be summed up in a few words or reasons: overproduction, overspeculation, protective tariffs, and shady banking practices. The consumerism of the 1920s led to companies and businesses making a surplus of goods. However, as the times and economy changed, many Americans realized they didn't have the means to afford such accommodations. This led to overproduced goods sitting and collecting dust on store shelves. Americans were over speculating stocks, hoping that buying high would sell high or even higher. However, you had to give a down payment before buying a stock, and many didn't have that kind of money to spend. So they would often take out a loan to pay for it, which is the practice of buying on margin. Those who succeeded made enough money to repay the loan and have some left in the bank. However, most of weren't so lucky and went deeper into debt with their loans. Back then, banks didn't follow the financial guidelines set by the Federal Reserve. This means that anyone could apply for a loan even if they couldn't pay it off, and banks would use the money to pay businesses and loans, leading to them going bankrupt. The government and the Federal Reserve failed to regulate such actions. Protective tariffs were placed to encourage Americans to buy American goods, making imported goods seem more expensive than they actually were and making American goods seem cheaper. Other countries didn't like these tariffs and imposed the same policies on American goods, leading to chaos in the international trade market. However, a repeat of the 1929 stock market crash is possible. Still, a repeat of the Great Depression is impossible due to government regulations, increased knowledge of the economy, and safeguards like the FDIC. Second question: why did people feel so confident before the stock market crash of 1929? What were some factors that led to irrational investing? People before the stock market crash felt confident due to the 1920s being a time full of economic growth and prosperity, nicknamed the Roaring Twenties. However, the increased availability of easy credit and buying on margin allowed people to take advantage of loans and buy expensive stocks, which fueled irrational investing. The resulting speculative bubble was disconnected from actual economic rules and understanding, leading many to believe that stocks had finally reached a financial high. This confidence in the stock market and the lack of government regulations led to a high risk investing, mass speculation, and the fallacy that the market could only go up. Third question: why was Herbert Hoover's response to the initial months of the Great Depression so limited in scope? Herbert Hoover's response to the initial months of the Great Depression was so limited in scope due to his beliefs in a limited government and individualism. These beliefs led to him favoring voluntary action and cooperation among businesses and citizens over direct government intervention. Hoover believed that government aid would weaken the public's morale and instill a dependence on the government. After his initial misjudgment of the seriousness of the crisis, he reassured the public that the economy would run its course and fix itself. As a result, his administration's initial actions involved encouraging businesses to maintain wages and coordinating relief efforts through private and state agencies. However, when Hoover enacted much bigger policy plans, it was already seen as too little, too late. Fourth question: how did the cultural products of the Great Depression serve to reflect, shape, and asseverate Americans' fears and concerns during this volatile period? How do our cultural products, such as books, movies, and music, reflect and reinforce our values in our own times? Cultural products of the Great Depression served as escapism and relief. They reflected issues everyone was facing while still promoting a sense of optimism and hope. Films with cheery themes and optimistic songs temporarily distracted Americans from the pain and hardships they were experiencing, while the works of realists, in contrast, portrayed the struggles that immigrants and commoners had to go through during that time. Modern works of today similarly depict the issues and experiences of the time, such as the issues of social anxiety, mental health, and societal or economical struggles. Music, films, and media can act like the soundtrack or joy to people's lives and experiences while providing a form of escapism and relief. Fifth question: to what extent did the Great Depression catalyze significant changes in Americans' perception of themselves, their national identity, and the role of their government? What evidence of these shifts can you find in politics and values of our own time? There were many consequences due to the Great Depression, especially surrounding the government. The economy crashes overnight, and people lose their jobs and way of life. It caused people to realize how challenging, if not impossible, it was to achieve the American dream, forcing the government to expand to help the economy and reassure another crash wouldn't immediately send us into another depression, while also leaving the permanent message that it doesn't matter if you're doing well, if America is struggling, so will you. Sixth question: why is Herbert Hoover so often blamed for the Great Depression? To what extent is such an assessment fair or accurate? There were several reasons why people believed Hoover was the leading cause of the Great Depression. Of course, being president made everybody immediately look at him in the crisis. However, they also signed the Smoot-Hawley tariff, which would cause a rise in import taxes and further deepened their issues. Then the Bonus Army incident occurred, using the military to remove veterans protesting for more pay, which further hurt his image. Anyways, if you found this video entertaining and educational, and if you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment what you think if you liked it or didn't like it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.